You are going to need tissues, water, scissors, modeling clay, sculpting devices, nail polish, and the thin plastic sheet. I'm just going to be using this fake short hair mold over here. If you want easier access to all areas, you can always decapitate your LPS. But in case you don't want to make a slit at the back of your helmet in order to take it off later on, you can always just directly sculpt on your LPS. We will be using this super fluffy modeling clay. Now, if you want to take the helmet off your LPS eventually, I don't really recommend it. The clay tends to harden after approximately a week, and if you want to take your helmet off, you won't be able to do so without ripping it. If you notice that your clay is a bit hard or not stretchy enough, you can always just use water to make it stretchier. Just mix it well and make sure you don't use too much because it will get too sticky to work with. Take a big chunk of your clay and flatten it just a tiny bit and stick it directly on your LPS. We're basically going to submerge that head in the clay. We're going to use the scissors to cut off the excess material, and the back of the helmet usually has to be rounder than the front, so make sure you leave a lot more material in the back than in the front. This clay is an air drying clay and usually dries up in a day or so. And if you want to slow that process down or work on your helmet the next day, you can just keep the clay itself moist, smother it with water, and keep it in an airtight container, so you can work on it even the next day. After you've officially cut off the excess material, you're just going to be pressing the clay against the body and shaping it a bit. If you see that there's any remaining extra clay on the body, you can always just cut it off. If we take a look at Nyla's helmet over here, we can see that the back is very round in comparison to the front, which is flat. In order to achieve that shape, we're just going to cut off the excess material and press the clay against the body. As you can see, the surface is now not completely smooth, which is why we're going to use a lot of water to smoothen the surface. The next step will be really messy, and do not be concerned because the clay does not stain your surface. You can work with it as much as you want and be as messy as you want. You have nothing to worry about. You can just wipe it off with water later. We're using a lot of water and just rubbing the clay to smoothen it out. While doing this process, do not press the clay too hard. For the next step, we're just going to be cutting the clay around the eyes. This is where the visor is going to be placed later on. I'm also going to show you how to make this black visor later. For this step, you can use a pair of scissors or a cutter, whichever you're more comfortable with. Gently mark the area where you're going to cut. Once you're satisfied with the placement, you can start cutting. We are now going to sculpt the area where the visor is going to be, and as you can see, it's almost an oval shape. Use a brush, preferably, or any kind of sculpting device you have at hand to smoothen out the area. After you smooth out those areas, this is kind of what it's supposed to look like. On the top part of your gap, which I've just created, you are going to add kind of like, it's not really a cylinder, it looks more like a worm. For example, over here, you can see it on Nyla's helmet. In case you don't really like the round shape of this piece that we're creating, you can always just use a cylinder to flatten the clay and cut out a rectangle shape. This is approximately how thin it should be. Cut off the ends of this little thing that you have just sculpted, and because your clay is very moist at the moment, any clay that touches it from now on will stick like glue to it. This is kind of what it's supposed to look like. And now we're basically going to create the screws, which come at the end of this round shaped long thing. We're just going to call it a worm. It's a worm, okay? I have no idea what to call it. Anyway, we're now going to put these little circular things at the end because they're supposed to mimic screws. And now we're basically done with the helmet. You can always keep shaping it if you notice that it's a bit bumpier in certain areas or too flat, and so on and so on. And yeah, this is what it looks like. We are now going to move on to the visor. You're going to need nail polish and plastic, a plastic sheet in this case. You will have to apply multiple layers so the black won't seem sheer. We are only going to paint one side because the other side will be the one that is visible from the outside. You will not be able to see the texture. And over here, this one will be inserted on the inside. Remember to paint your helmets before inserting the visor. I just broke a nail, so please ignore that, you guys. Anyway, this is the shape that you're basically going to cut out. The edges should be very small so you can insert them inside of your helmet. This is like a broken helmet, and for learning purposes, I'm going to show you how to do it. So you see that edge over here, right? That very small edge. We're going to insert the tip of our visor in there. So as you can see, the visor also has to match the shape of your helmet. You're just going to have to cut and adjust it as you see fit. And as you can see, I am inserting it into that small creek. This is exactly how you're going to do it on your LPS. I'm going to show you again on this side of the helmet. So you're going to insert it as such. As you can see, it's completely covering the area. I'm going to show you the exact same thing from the other side. So you're just inserting it like this. So it won't fall out. You do need those edges at the end. And this is what the finished product will look like. You have officially reached the end of this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And on this Friday, I will be posting the behind the scenes video for Car Racers, the second episode. And the next episode of Car Racers will be dropping next Friday, so stay tuned, you guys. It will be a very interesting episode. So yeah, bye!